You and the world are changing. You've probably felt that because we are all changing and the world has been changing. But I'm meant to give you that message today because we're having a full moon tomorrow. And obviously, this is what I'm supposed to reveal and give to you today because I know that you're here to do something really wonderful in our world. And the way that things look now, you might be a little uncomfortable, which means that you're trying to become your authentic self. And I have to do that first. I was speaking to my new assistant just earlier, and was explaining what had happened. And I said, I can show you messages that I've received that are just explaining what's happening in our world now because I want more people to understand. And I happened to look for the message for tomorrow because this is still June 10th, but there's a full moon tomorrow on June 11th. And I knew that it would be aligned with something that I was been had been given. And so what I'm going to do is read that to you first. Earlier, I put out a Substack article, which you all will see. I'll leave a link for it. And I said I was given the path to your success, your happiness, and our new world. And that didn't make sense, and it didn't even make sense to me. And I would have never told you that before. But then there comes a time where you just have to own who you are and what you feel you're on the earth to do. And living out of alignment with who you are is really what causes difficulty for any of us, and me included. But this is the message that I'm meant to share with all of you now so you understand. And also, I'm doing this because I'm sending a message to all of the people in my program and on my list so that they would finally understand what I'm doing and why I am changing. But this is the message. June 11th, 2020. You and the world are right on schedule. Today, it wasn't that Roger was hesitant to receive these words, but we gave him so much information that he wasn't sure he was up to the job of delivering it effectively, just as each of you has done in your lives when you view who you think you want to be. Since 1988, Roger has allowed our presence to be known, but never fully trusted our guidance, as you have not believed your own. As the world changes, so do you. None of you are here alone, and not understanding that principle makes your journey a bit more challenging. Roger began to receive us through a process called automatic writing. Those words and title were more acceptable to him because it sounded more scientific rather than airy fairy. We are not mincing words today. Now, to alert you to the manner in which many of you are changing with the world, we are changing Roger. He believed that the only method we could be heard was by writing in longhand. We told him to type, which is what you are reading now because we want him to change. Roger had developed a limiting belief. There was only one way to do this. Much like you have been stuck in your rigid ways of doing things. You and the world are changing. Oh, and next, Roger will be verbally delivering our words consciously, even though he can't operate without hearing us, even when he pretends he doesn't. You know, like when you pretend you do not hear your internal guidance. Some time ago, we told you we had much more to say, so we needed to find more efficient ways, and this is one. Also, Roger was running out of space in his cabinet to store our more than 30 years of communications. More than a year ago, we told you Roger found himself watching documentaries of history and past world leaders. We had him do that to prepare him for this very moment. We gave a message years ago entitled, You Were Being Prepared. We were speaking to him and all of you, and we meant this very moment in time. Now you will see what you do with your state of preparedness. After all, you still have free will of choice to choose the reality you want. We have much more, but today we want to leave you with this. We began with the element of time because most of you can only relate to linear time, which is a purposeful arrangement, but trust us, everything is occurring now. As you examine your world, you will see the changes happening that you wanted, and you wanted to be on the planet at this time to help them along. The way you accomplish this is by finally deciding to be yourself. It should come as no surprise to you that we end with that sentiment because we always will. Wilhelm. And that was something that I could never have explained before, and probably because it wasn't time. Yes, they said 1988. My earliest messages are 1989, but I didn't want to show anyone those because I didn't know what was happening. I was connecting to something I didn't understand, but it was changing me. It was causing me to understand things in a different way, but it was also a little bit embarrassing because how is this happening? And then I healed everything. I started to heal in ways I couldn't explain to people. I couldn't understand why I was curing incurable diseases, so I was told that they were. We have much more than we can do. Then, when the world started to change, I did as well. That was in 2020. I started to know a little bit before because in 2019 I wrote a book called Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom because I wanted to talk about why and how I moved through the fear that had plagued me my entire life, and that was through Wilhelm. But I had to ease my way into it by writing the book first. And that was the opening. But I didn't want to do anything else beyond that until I kept getting called out. None of the messages would have ever been published, actually, unless someone found them, as they did in 2008, found them on my desk. And that's how the website, Any Advice for Today, it got developed because others said, you should publish these. I was running from it. You might have done that too with yourself. But then I understood in 2021 when I'm told that I was given everything that could help change our world and help any person understand who they are and move through this transition with much greater ease. I didn't think that was real either. But then I decided to follow through and I put people in a program to see what would happen. And I was shocked to see how quickly they transformed, how quickly they became to understand themselves and move through the generational biases and limiting thinking that had been within them, which is within all of us. And then I was told that I was given this philosophy called Your Life Operating Instructions, that we would be moving through this great change in our world, and this information would help so many people and help our world move to a higher state of consciousness. That made no sense to me, and I said it couldn't possibly be me because that was the dream that I had in 2005 that was so vivid, and I was meant to bring something to the world. And I said no, and I put it away. I tried to hide it. Kept coming back. And then since that, I put the people in the program and they transformed. But I didn't keep going because I thought I couldn't believe this was happening. And then I kept going broke because I wasn't going to charge enough for it. I wanted everyone to do this work because I knew that if they did, that we would see things change and they would have a really great life. But I couldn't explain it because I said people aren't going to believe me. Even though they're seeing me, I'm 74 years old and everything is healed and I'm going in a different direction. But I said they're still not going to believe me. Then they called me out to do other things, do channeling on a grand stage. I didn't want to do that. And then when I did it, I'm talking about things that were occurring in our world that they didn't understand because I did it all beforehand. That's how I received information from Wilhelm, which is why they talked about we live in linear time. That's not how I received the information. It's a line. I started to discover that. And then I published something earlier where I showed how this came out. It delved into quantum sciences. It delved into the things that we use, neuroplasticity and cognitive behavior training. And they said, that's why I change. That's why I heal. So now what I'm doing is I'm finishing it. And that's why I'm doing this video and talking about this before the full moon, because I wanted you to have this information. But also, I have to change now because I can't finish the work that I have without charging more money for this work. Because that's what we're all meant to do. That's the other thing they told me. They kept going over it. The money kept coming up. They said, Roger's supposed to be charging more. And then we saw in our world where we were controlled by money but I wasn't going to allow that to happen for me because this work could not have my ego involved at all. Because then it wouldn't have been pure. It wouldn't have been connected to that greater source because I knew that's what was coming through. But that's what I'm doing now. So those of you who do want to come into the program now, I do it now because I will have to change it because I can't survive this way and I can't live that kind of an example and give it to you because I know that you're meant to become abundant. I know that when you move through those generational blockages that have been holding you back, that's what will happen because that's energy. Everything in our universe is energy. And as we become aligned with who we are and our authentic selves, then everything changes. And the other part of that was when I was told I was given everything in 2012, they said, and if you meet someone, we've given you a message on their birthday in 2012 that will give them some assurance or some confirmation of what they're doing now because they said they wanted everyone to know that your existence on this planet at this time is really valuable if you do the thing that you came to do. But it just takes moving through the blockages that told us we couldn't. And that is why you and our world are changing. I hope this helps you. I hope you understand it, and please view the work. As I said, it's going to be always be available. We're just moving it to a new place, and it's going to get much bigger. And that is what I want to tell to the people who are in the program. You're going to have everything. You're not going to have a price increase. Those who are already in, but I have to move because we have to evolve, and that is accepting who you are because you were born with great purpose. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with others if it's your first time, and I will see you soon.